Friends up in the beautiful Rocky Mountains of Colorado to drive the Volvo XC60 T8 plug-in hybrid and the Volvo S90 long wheelbase plug-in hybrid, also T8. But guess what else they had lying around? V90 R Design. Let's do a quick round-the-block review, 5280 style. Okay, so I've been watching all of our Geely era Volvo episodes. The engines are the same. This, even though it looks the coolest out of all of them, it's still 316 horsepower. But this is the first time we're driving it at over a mile above sea level. So let's put our foot into it, go up the hill here. So while it does perform a bit better than a normally aspirated car at this altitude, it's the same in terms of pulling power, pushing power. This is all-wheel drive, like that cross-country we drove down in Arizona. So in other Volvo episodes, you and I discussed the different trim levels on offer, the basic momentum, the R design, and the fancy inscriptions. As a matter of fact, most of those episodes were generally inscriptions. But why is the R design more special here? Well, what sets it apart? Well, there's fancy wheels. The front end's slightly different. The mirror fairings are different. It just looks cooler. And then there's the dampers. It's the same hardware. It's just tuned differently. So how does it work? A mile above sea level. Now the biggest difference in the R design for you and I is the setup. All the previous Volvos that you and I have driven over the past 2 years have been the inscription model, but that's the trim level. Most of them can be fitted with a steel spring and or transverse leaf spring, and then one can opt for air ride, which this car is fitted with. However, in the R design, if it were fitted with the steel springs, all the hardware is the same as the momentum and the inscription. However, the tuning is different, like the bushings are different, or the dampers are set up differently. It's not as much as in that XC60. That's a 30% stiffer setup in the steel springs, and I am nagging the people at Volvo so we can get one in California and drive one on the steel springs, not the air. But this, the thing you notice, it's more composed. Now, this is the air ride. I can't sit here and tell you that this is the R design with the steel springs, but I don't know if it's the combination of the look of the car or that I just got out of an XC60, but the composure of this, especially over that cross country, let's pick it up a little bit, put our foot into it. There is some weight in the back there. Let's put our foot into it as we go around this turn. You don't have the lean to that side, and there's no squat in the back. In the cross country, we got a little bit of squat, which is something that is inherent to the design of the air ride in the Geely era Volvos. Not a bad thing, just the way they're set up. So do you guys remember those Pebble Beach episodes we did with Dave Kinney back at his garage in Great Falls, Virginia? There were a number of cool cars in the background. Yeah, there were the Avantis because it's Dave Kinney. He's just a freak about Avantis. There was also that Hooper-bodied Bentley, which you guys have been asking a lot about. I hope to get that on the show. Got to ask Dave. And then there was that cool 123 GT Volvo. Now, no one asked about that, but of course, that's the one I geeked out about. And I'm here, 2 days? I got to talking with Lex, who is the CEO of Volvo Cars America. I showed him a picture of the car and he freaked out. He whips out his iPhone, shows me a picture of his Volvo Wagon that was never offered as a 123 GT, but he made it into a 123 GT. Well, after we got done geeking out about that stuff, we talked about this. Interesting fun fact. The V90 and the S90, you would think it's just the platform. It turns out the V90 is the same as the S90 all the way to the B-pillar. Now, you and I will spend more time unpacking the driving dynamics in a full first drive review back in California, but oh my God, look at that. And I don't mean the trains. I know I'm a broken record about this state, but wow, stunning beauty. Okay, enough of that. Back to what differentiates an R design for momentum and inscription, and we can't gloss over the interior even though it's stunning outside there. Biggest difference, the seats, so much better than the momentum, and definitely better than the inscription, even though that's the fancy one. There are things you don't get as much crap as you do in the other stuff, which I'm not fussed with. Like, for example, to move the extension, the seat extension, you just use your hand here, which is much quicker than going through all the setup in the infotainment system. Then there's just more support in the seats. And then last but not least, let's talk about some of the trim here. This has the faux carbon fiber. It looks good. Yeah, it definitely has sporty intentions. But you know me, I'm an old-fashioned guy, and I like my wood on the dash, especially the satin finish that they do in the Volvos we love so much. And last but not least, the R Design is the only trim level that's fitted with paddle shifters on a current Volvo. Who knows if Polestar will do that later, especially if they're going all EV. Okay, so this was a really quick look at my favorite of the current Geely era Volvos, the V90 R Design. We'll take more time down in California and get this car back. But in the interim, I wanted to tell you a quick story that happened while I was setting up for some of the shots here. A guy came through the trail here, lives down in Lakewood, has a house up here in Evergreen, Colorado, which is stunning. He was walking his dog. He comes out, stops in his tracks, and that is the coolest wagon I've ever seen in my life. He didn't immediately see it as a Volvo, and we got to talking. Turns out he's the guy that did the ride of the SUVs. He had a 240 back in the day, traded it in for an Expedition, got sick, according to him, of trucking an Expedition and its fuel economy up from Denver, and then he traded that in for an Audi Allroad, and he said he never got stuck again. Granted, now he's driving a Lincoln MKZ hybrid, and he's excited about 42 MPG. So I told him to leave, even though I was excited about his history of cars. So until I come back to you with another episode like this, I want to leave you with a question. Between the momentum, the R Design, and the inscription of the V90 only, can't be across country, which one would you choose and why? Let me know in the comments below or via our social media, MotoManTV all in word, MotoManTV all in word, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And with that, I want to leave you with two things. Number one, please unsubscribe and then resubscribe, click notifications. This is how much YouTube has screwed up the platform, not just for me, but for YouTubers big and small, no matter the genre. And number two, I want to leave you with a fun fact. So in previous Volvo episodes, I may have told you that my lady friend, sadly, she drives an Acura. However, the car that I am trying to sell her on very hard is this exact one here. Not just the car, not just the wheels, but also the color. Until I see you next time, bis später.